I'm curious. I'm Kendrin.
What up, what up? It is Deja. How y'all doing, friends?
Hello. We are back. If you've never been here before, welcome. Welcome. We do a cross section of pop culture in real life. We're here multiple times a week on Mondays and Thursdays. And today we are going to cover some pop culture media type of content. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and like the video in advance and subscribe to our channel. Let's get to it.
Girl, Beyonce calls everybody bald-headed.
Man, listen.
Ah.
Beyonce got on the internet and was like, I heard y'all talking about how I never show my real hair. Little did you hoes know
You have
that
seen
was
it.
my real hair. That was my real hair. In fact, at the Cécred launch,
Mm-hmm.
that high pony that was swinging on down to my past my shoulders with that bump on the end, that was all me.
Hello.
So she just called everybody bald headed. I really want to try Cécred. I've heard it's really good.
I
Like
do too.
from people who are from people who are skeptical, who are hairstylists, skeptical hairstylists, in fact, they're kind of like, I don't trust it. And yeah, he was kind of like, nah, it was really good. So I want to try it.
A lot of
Um,
the some of the social media influencer girls that I have followed, they did like their own reviews with their hairstylists.
yeah,
And I'm taking not so much the influencer girls, but I'm taking the
right.
word of the stylist because they use
Exactly.
so many different products. One
Same.
in particular, she is specifically a natural hair care stylist, period. She does not do like perms, relaxers, or anything of the sort.
Yeah.
And so she was like, for the way that the products are structured, she loves it. She said it was you can use a little bit and it goes a long way.
Yeah. So yeah, that my friend said the same thing, and like you said, he does all types of hair. So I was just kind of like, all right, I trust his word. I'll take his word for it. I don't know about the
Okay.
rest of you. It was like, anyways, so the next story is Rich Dennis seems to be on an acquisition spree. So if you're not familiar, Rich Dennis is the founder of Shea Moisture, who then sold to, hmm, I forget.
Maybelline?
Anyways, hmm?
No. Weren't they acquired by Maybelline?
I don't remember. It's one of the big brands, like one of the big four, staple beauty brands. Anyways, so in the meantime, Rich Dennis has been, building up. He bought Essence through one of
Mhm.
his like big ventures. I think it's called Sundial Ventures. He bought Essence. He bought, um, oh, he started a venture fund from that, and now he has purchased. Okay, from what I can tell, he bought Revolt, which is Diddy's company, with his own money,
Was.
perhaps. And then Refinery 29 through Sundial Ventures, which is also his brand, I think, that owns Essence. So it seems like he's starting to amass quite the media portfolio. And
Hmm.
we're going to
I'm
talk
mad
about
at
a
it.
little bit more about alignment and stuff later. But it feels like this is why I don't buy into the whole like black company shouldn't sell out or whatever, because it seems like this maybe was just his first step. Like he was using Shea Moisture to get to his ultimate dream, which is maybe to be a media mogul or to tell black stories. And I think that's important work too. And
Hmm.
like maybe that Shea Moisture was the thing that was selling Shea Moisture was the thing that is going to enable him to tell very powerful and beautiful black stories. So I think it's cool.
I totally agree. I think that the fact that the companies that he's acquired to up to this point outside of Refinery 29 have been predominantly black facing media,
Yeah,
like media and or just like companies in general. I think that's dope
yeah,
because
for
the
sure.
it seems like he's trying to make sure that he can extend the life of these entities beyond,
Definitely.
like a certain period, like Jet Magazine kind of died out in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like Ebony might be along the same lane as that, even though I think Ebony might still be produced, but absolutely is no longer in production to
Yeah.
my knowledge. So,
Yeah. So I think that's really cool. All right, we're going on to we're going on to the big topic of the week.
girl, that damn Shannon Sharp pissed me off so bad. Girl, that it was so bad it's got you choked up.
All right. Amanda Seales does Club Shay Shay. I think we're gonna have differing opinions about this, but I'm gonna let you start.
My thing is like, if you have someone, and this has been the argument the whole has been basically you invite someone on to have a conversation with them, to learn about them, then that's what you do. You're not in a position to, you should not be in a position to put them at opposition of you. So then you all are like doing this in the interview. Like, I mean, it makes for good drama if that's the intention. However, it just did not look good because it was giving like, okay, so I had this previous very intelligent person on, Cat Williams, who ran circles around me. So now that I have this Black woman on, I'm just gonna challenge her at every step that I can until I realize that this shit is not making sense.
I had a difference of opinion, and I'm gonna be honest. I did not watch the Cat Williams. I did not watch the full Cat Williams interview. I did watch the full Amanda Seales interview. I have a little bit of a difference of opinion. I think there were some times where I was just like, now Shannon.
I'm like, come on now.
Now Shannon. However, I think that especially after the conversation with Cat Williams and like him hearing people say that he talked circles around him, like I felt like he was trying to interject with like questions to kind of like lead the conversation a little bit. I thought that he was trying to like I said, some moments it was just like, okay, that was a dumb take. But there were a lot of moments where I
that's
felt,
what I'm talking about.
yeah,
the dumb stuff.
right. There was a lot of moments where I felt like he was really trying to like lead the conversation and be like a friendly interviewer for Amanda. Like, I'm on your side. I want you to win. Like, I want you to come here and say your piece. And I don't have a dog in this fight as far as whether or not you succeed or not. Like, I just want you to come here and have a safe space to say your shit. That's how
eventually
I
he
read
got
it.
there.
Now there were some problematic moments, so let's get into those. The racism, he didn't seem to do well with that.
That's the shit I'm talking about. Because that's at the point where the racism piece and the thing about the Southern thing that he interjected about children staying in children's places. Like, I understand where you coming from, but children.
Well, so I have two kind of like disparate opinions about that, because I actually did understand what he meant by like, and that was my first opinion. Like, and candidly, I'm a Southern person and I don't necessarily believe in all the ways that I was raised, but like the thing that she was saying about the teacher and how she corrected the teacher in the open, I was just kind of like, that feels like a very like, maybe you shouldn't have done that as a kid. Not that she shouldn't have done it, but like that wasn't going to be received well as the adult in that situation in the 80s or 90s or whenever she was growing up. And I don't know that would have been received well if it had come from any kid. I don't know. But the racist stuff with the kid and the kids calling her the N-word and him being like, well, the kids can't be like, hell, they can't be racist.
Hello. By proxy, this is how they're raised. This is what they know. So then they are regurgitating what they were given. Like it happens. Period. That's really the point.
Yeah, totally agree.
It happens. Okay,
it does
because
happen.
I was called a nigga at the age of like 7 and 8 years old. So like it happens. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I get that I think the point he was trying to make is that children, we should operate from the standpoint that children are inherently innocent and that these ideas that they project are not necessarily their own ideas, but like it's still racist.
And I accept that as a general proposition, but that's if, in my opinion, like, okay, if a kid came up to me and called me N-word, I'd be like, who taught you that? But when it's like kid to kid, it's just like, no, you just being like, these are peers and it doesn't matter where it came from. That is a racist experience as a Black child for somebody to call you that. Like, that's racist.
And you know, at whatever age she said that they were at, you know what words are good words and what words are bad words at the very minimum.
And who to use them with.
So I mean, it would be different if she had said that the child was calling her a nigga, and then Bobby Ray and Jenny a nigga too, but they was white kids. That's different, okay? inherently innocent. Got it, check. But that's not what she said.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's get into her self-diagnosis of
Man, I so like full disclosure on this one. When I watched that, I was so irritated. I'm like, damn it, Amanda. Like, girl, you listen, you came out swinging, you gave your take on it. We got a better understanding of you. It was good. Did you go on live 2, 3 days later and you tell niggas that you don't have no clinical diagnosis? And to the point that she said that she is on the spectrum, the way that she blurted it out, it reads ASD.
okay.
Okay. I'm not going to take that away from her. It definitely, because it's time and place. There's a time and a place for you to say things of this nature and also provide context. She stated a couple of times that she does not always do this shit very well, as intelligent as she is. And I think in that
Mhm.
moment, I put it in our outline, she shot herself in the foot because now everybody and their mama that didn't have nothing to say outside of they just don't like you, right? Now they have all this extra commentary because you gave them more bullets.
Well, I mean, I had a different take. It's like well, first of all, I have seen clinicians on social media saying like, diagnosis is expensive. It's like upwards
Mm-hmm.
of 10K to get a proper diagnosis. And
Yeah.
like most adults could probably diagnose themselves if they take the test. So that's probably what she did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I accept that except for the platform that she's on. And it's like one of those things that she knows that she's always in the crosshairs of people and they're going to dissect what she says. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
was it worth it? You know what I mean? Like, is it worth it to reveal that part? And also, like, I think it takes something away from people who have been formally diagnosed and who struggle in the world and things like that to be just saying that like haphazardly as if it was fact, but then taking it back a few, a little bit later, like, hey. And I think it would have been clear, it would have been easy clarification to be like, hey, I think that I am neurodivergent and I've taken the test and it has revealed that I think that I'm right. And instead of just like saying this as an affirmative fact that I mean, it does mean a thing to be diagnosed with something. That is a specific process. And I think it doesn't take anything away to say like, hey, I think that I am. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I think this because this is how I move through the world. I miss these cues. Everything that she said would have still been valid if she had just said, like, based on my research, based on how I move through the world and how I have always moved through the world and feedback from my mom, like, I believe that I have this.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
just think
think that
it's
she also
dangerous when
made
you
mention
start
of
saying that.
having, I think she also made mention of having had this conversation with her therapist, her, mental health team. And while they did not formally diagnose her, they did also agree. But the thing is, with Black people and women specifically, their late diagnoses typically come at the hands of them doing their own research.
100%.
So to that end, there was her name is Dr. Ali on TikTok, and she is a clinician. She said like to the point that you made, like, yes, you should have a formal diagnosis, but I don't discredit what she said because it's likely that she is accurate. If we go and do the test, that one, it is going to be like $10,000 and some change, if not
Yeah,
more. And two, like if you know all these things about yourself and you've had these conversations with your own clinicians, you can self-diagnose, but to get that stamp of approval, it has to come from a clinician, basically, which
absolutely. To say
you
that you
know,
have been diagnosed with something means a thing. She has
yeah,
not been diagnosed with that thing. She has
not
self-diagnosed with that
formally.
thing, not
Mm-mm.
formally. I have self-diagnosed as ADHD. I have not been formally diagnosed. I believe that I am, but I have not been formally diagnosed. So I would not say that as a definitive fact. And I think that's where she shot herself in the foot, in my opinion. So
So we're on the same train. We're just like you're at the beginning, I'm at the end. Because
sure.
nobody who could have questioned what the diagnosis was if they didn't know to question it.
Well, the thing is, well, yeah, I agree with you. If she had said it and said it as fact and left it
And just
alone,
left
then
it. Yeah.
I wouldn't have questioned her. But the fact that she came back 2 days later and was like, well, no, I haven't been formally diagnosed. This is like, girl, you should
But
have
it's
left that
also
part
like
out.
watching that shit, I was like having my own academic background and watching her move through this conversation, I was like, damn, yeah, she's definitely on the spectrum because you literally you read the question, you process it here, you and then you just spit out an answer. You don't think before you speak type thing. It's like there's
Yeah.
a step that's missing for some. Okay, so editing Deja here in real time on Thursday before this video goes up. The thing that I did not fully express in this clip was basically as it relates to the spectrum, autism spectrum disorder. There was no inclination for Amanda at the time of her doing said live to protect herself. She saw the question, she answered the question, and then just went on about whatever else she was saying at the time. And so I think that those who are on the spectrum sometimes don't immediately recognize this might be an opportunity where I need to be mindful of how I'm going to be perceived and the way in which I need to protect myself, basically. People. And I think she also taught me something because I didn't know that they had did away with the Asperger's title in ASD,
Yeah, neither did I.
autism spectrum disorder. I had no idea.
Neither did I.
I'm like, well, that's how long I've been out of school, honey.
Yeah. So, anyways, like you said, Black women are definitely more likely to be late diagnosed and all the things. I will drop some resources down in the comments, I mean, in the description box, articles pointing to that. And like I have friends who have been diagnosed later in life, like much later in life, like late 30s, just now
Okay.
getting diagnosed. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that it's not possible, and I'm not saying that she's wrong. I'm saying that I'm saying
It's
that
just a
words
better
mean
way
things,
of going
and
about it.
she portrayed it wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Um,
And I ain't gonna hold you, y'all. Sometimes I like watching her that interview. I'm like, you know what, shit, maybe I might be a little bit on the spectrum.
yeah.
I don't know.
So,
A little bit neurodivergent over here too, honey. We'll see.
so like my overall thoughts of the interview, I just feel like I said this before about her. I think she fashions herself as like a truth teller and she doesn't cut corners. She says it with her chest. She doesn't have time to play corporate bullshit games. And that's fine. I think that's fine. I think that's admirable in some respects. I just think you have to be willing to accept the consequences of that. Um, an example, like from my own real life, is at my old job, there was a lot of like fire drills and people running around. But when I sat at that job, I realized that most of the things that we had done that we were looking into and we were reviewing, they happened in the past tense. And in my mind, I decided, hey, if it's already happened, there's no urgency around things that have already happened. Like,
It's not like you preventing something.
so in my mind, there is no rush. Like you cannot convince me that I need to be logged on the weekends and logged in late at night and doing all these things when I'm not stopping anything. Everything has already happened. This is not high level work. All this shit already happened. So as a result, that meant that I had friction with my manager at times because she was very much one of those people that's like, we got to do everything right now. So I did have friction with her. I did have like certain consequences where I might not have gotten promoted in a what I felt to be a timely manner, or all of these things. But that was a consequence of my action in that situation. That was the consequences, and I had to be okay with that and realize that, like, yo, I'm not going to advance in this way because I'm not going to sacrifice my personal, like, mental health in the way that requires me to advance in that way. And to me, I feel like sometimes Amanda can veer into the direction of like, I know I'm doing something that's against the grain, but I don't want to accept the against the grain consequences of that.
But I don't know that she processes that. I
Fine.
think the process happens once the feathers are ruffled and there's tension and shit is awkward. then she's like, okay, something happened that I said and or did is wrong, if she ever gets to that point.
Okay, sure. I don't think that she ever gets to that point. I think she thinks that telling the truth is its own shield, and it's not. And like, I am from a, like I've said before, I am from a Southern family, and it's one of those like, you win more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. Like my mom used to tell me that, because I used to be very much one of those people who's like, well, it was the truth. And it's like that.
Yes.
And it's like, girl, so what? Like, so what? That is not necessary. And I had to like learn how to like, it can be true and it can still hurt people's feelings, or it can be true or it can still like affect your relationship. So like maybe you don't have to say everything. And it's like, I don't feel like Amanda has ever learned that lesson of like,
No.
girl, you can be right, but it can also be the wrong thing to say.
Mm-hmm. I
So
agree. I ain't got nothing to say about that. Talk to us about Wine and Chill's perspective. I didn't catch her
yes.
conversation around it.
All right. So this is
Shout
not
out to
my
Stephanie.
perspective. Shout out to Stephanie. I'm gonna drop the video down in the description box. Stephanie had an interesting take, and this is
As a
not my
fellow
take. I
Caribbean.
am not Caribbean. I want to be clear. I am not Caribbean. Stephanie is Caribbean. Stephanie is Jamaican, a light-skinned Jamaican woman who is saying this. Okay, Stephanie, go watch Stephanie.
Wine and Chill.
Wine and Chill. I'm gonna drop the video down below. She basically said that Amanda is rude because Caribbean people are rude, and she and that she is also a light-skinned Caribbean woman, and that comes with a certain level of privilege. And
Mm.
she is just acting as though she is an entitled light-skinned Caribbean woman, and she doesn't think that she should ever have to say anything and make it nice. Like you should just be able to say whatever is true and not make it nice. So go watch Stephanie's video for more on that, because I don't have any authority to speak on that, but I thought it was an interesting take. And then my very last take, I think some of this is also, so Amanda in the interview talks about her mom was very like, she didn't say she was permissive necessarily, but she just was like, she didn't try to like kind of contain her. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're going to see a lot more adults like Amanda, because it's giving gentle parenting, and the outcome of gentle parenting of like kids who feel like they should be able to say whatever they want to say as long as it's true, or be able to interact with people however they want to interact with people, and never be held accountable for a thing, and not have to respect social norms and values. And so it's giving gentle parenting, even though she didn't say that, it's giving some of that as well for me.
Well, girl, we gonna see, honey.
For me, myself, personally.
Y'all get down in the comments. Do you think that based on the stuff that Amanda has told us about herself and her life, that she was a gently parented child?
Yeah.
That's an interesting perspective. I'm not mad at that.
So yeah, and then in the course of all of this, we found a kind of like an article about sort of being in spaces that don't really align with who you are.
Girl.
And I think this is a perfect example. We'll drop the Forbes article down in the, description box. But like part of me, as I was listening to her interview, was kind of like, she sounds like maybe she should just be a professor or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to interact with these spaces that require you to be a certain kind of way. Like it don't seem like it's compatible with her
But I
personality.
think it's just also that, and I think it's also unfortunate that she is a creative by nature.
Yeah.
So to be an academic with all this highly intelligence, with all this high intelligence, and then also be highly creative at the same time, it's just like she's battling against the different aspects of herself and other people.
No, I totally agree. And like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like I understand where she's coming from. Um, but yeah, like it just don't seem like it's a fit. My friend and I were talking earlier about this, and it was kind of like maybe she should just like be a lawyer or something. Not a lawyer. That's a lot of politics too. But like just be a professor or something. And I think that's sort of the space that she's kind of landed in, as far as like she isn't teaching, but she is like educating people on her podcast and having interesting conversations there and through her radio show and stuff like that. And I think that's probably the best place for her. But trying to navigate Hollywood is like, for a person who can't play the game, so to speak, or doesn't want to play the game, like you're just never going to get that far.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you when you're right. Which also leads into the conversation that you may mention too, which is the misalignment piece. So this is an article from Forbes that we had in the pocket a couple of weeks ago, and it's titled "A Psychologist Explains Misalignment Burnout When Your Job Isn't Your Purpose." And since we're
Yeah.
talking about like how Amanda's kind of been perusing from one avenue into the next, basically trying to find her purpose, um, and she said something that stood out to me so loudly, was that she just realized later in life that she is just not meant to work for other people. Like she's not a good employee. And I'm like, bitch, me either.
Yeah.
But the quotes that stood out to me as it relates to this article, well, first, let me tell you what they define misalignment as. So they say that misalignment burnout happens when we constantly engage in environments and in activities that go against our innermost values and beliefs, leading to a disconnect between our true selves and our professional identity.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that stood out to me the most was that a 2023 survey reported that 59% of Americans are experiencing burnout, of which 71% are Gen Z and 65% of them are fucking millennials. And it's so interesting to me that we, the last two generations, and with Gen Z also being so young, are experiencing burnout and misalignment to that extent.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not, it's almost like a thing of like there's so many options, and because there are so many options, you are trying to navigate and figure out which way to go in, but you can't really navigate it successfully because everything is also sky damn high, so you have to be able to
That's it.
afford to take care of yourself, so you end up
Yeah.
getting stuck and relegated in these positions that do not suit your personality, do not suit your self identity, but suit your lifestyle
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. I listen, prime example number one over here. Um, yeah, I think that's a lot of people's story, honestly, right now. Like you paying rent is so high, it's like, okay, well, I just gotta do something to help me, pay rent. Thankfully, I've landed in a job that I actually like, but that wasn't my story for most of my adult life at this point, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think that's true. I think that's true. And yeah, I think the burnout is from the fact also, like, I think right now, and we're gonna get into this in a different conversation. Um, I think there's a lot of value placed in alignment, and I don't necessarily know that that value was necessarily placed in alignment before. People are enlightened, people go to therapy, people are like trying to live their best life, whereas before,
Mm-hmm.
living your best life meant going to work for the same company for 40 years, retiring, having a nice house, and maybe a little beach house. Like that
And
was the
still being
definition.
miserable.
Well, yeah, but also I don't think people were looking necessarily to their jobs for fulfillment necessarily. It was like it pays my bills, it gives me a nice house, it gives me a nice lifestyle. I can take a vacation with my family once a year and I can have like the family that I want. And they were seeking that type of stuff in their communities. I'm thinking even about my family,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know that anybody in my family like loves their job or loved their job, but they had community with each other. They lived all together. You know what I mean? And like I'm the person who left, and ironically, I'm the one who's like out here trying to find purpose and shit. And it's like, but they seem very happy when I go home. Like, you know what I mean? Like as I get older, I respect and like really appreciate what they have, which is community. And I'm out here struggling and with no community. You know what I mean? And like maybe it's not that important. Like, not to say it's not that important, but I just think that their value systems were different from what our value systems are.
I think it's a thing of like the many options thing that really plays into it. Like we were told that, you go off to college, you get a great job,
It's
you
true too.
or you go off to college, you explore the world, you go get a great job, and then live off your life into the sunset or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. But I think the bottom line is that a lot of people are just unhappy, and I don't believe that people are looking for fulfillment out of their careers every day. I think that 2020 did a number on the American population and made them realize that this working, hustle culture, 9 to 5, around the clock, trying to figure it out, you're not really, there is no work-life balance in that. You're basically always working. Not the majority of your life is spent, giving time to someone else. And a lot of people are looking to get that time back,
Yeah.
and
I
how
mean,
they can get that time back.
yes, I think that the pandemic definitely reset a lot of systems. And I think that that's the reason why a lot of things fell apart. But I do think that, especially in our generation, people were very much searching for fulfillment through their jobs and through their hustles and through whatever else that they were doing to try to make money. And they tied their money making to fulfillment, like the type of
Their
what they were
wealth.
doing for work to fulfillment and to worth in a way that I don't think that it had been tied to that before.
Yeah, because I would say that we're now looking at like status,
Yes,
because the advent of freaking social media. Oh, well, this person is
100%.
doing this, and I think, again, having all these options has been as much a gift as it is a curse, because now
100%.
you have all these things to compare yourself against, or compare yourself and your life against, and you're like, well, damn, like, I'm not, that looks like the American dream. What I'm doing ain't it.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, anyways, if you have any thoughts, drop down in the comments. Let us know what you think. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you here soon. Bye.
Bye.